Here's a quick little story time for you. I spent years training my dog with an e-collar. Disclaimer, this is just me sharing my experience and my journey with my dog. So don't get mad at me, please. Harvey says you're not allowed. I adopted Harvey back in 2017 and quickly realized he had very intense prey drive and a little bit of reactivity. I will show some examples here, but these are kind of minor examples because obviously the extreme examples, I didn't have my camera out to film them. Long story short of how I got into e-collar training was a Google search of how to help my dog with prey drive led me to a local quote-unquote dog trainer who I now know has no certifications. He told me that it would be impossible to train my dog without an e-collar, and so for years that's what I did. We did all the proper conditioning that everyone on the internet talks about and that the trainer guided us in, and for a really long time this worked. I use the term worked lightly, but I just didn't get pulled to the ground every single walk anymore. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I started spending a lot more time on TikTok. I was getting exposed to a lot of content that was basically just people saying e-collars are really bad for dogs, people saying that they can be detrimental to your dog's mental health, and people saying that there's scientific evidence behind why they're never needed and not effective. This type of content always made me so angry. I just felt like the people who were saying this had never met my dog and how crazy he was. I felt like they didn't understand that sure, with a lot of dogs they don't need an e-collar, but with my dog specifically, they don't understand how intense his prey drive is. So when I initially started seeing this content, I more just was very angry about it and felt like offended almost. The more I watched content like that, I started to reflect on why it would make me angry for people to say not to use an e-collar. As I reflected on that, I acknowledged that deep down, I kind of felt guilty about using an e-collar. Like, I still felt like it was needed so that Harvey could happily have off-leash time, and I felt like I was doing it for the benefit of him, but I do remember realizing that I did feel guilty about it. I also acknowledge that I'm never the type of person to deny science, and it wouldn't make any sense for me to do that here. I ended up looking a bit into the studies everyone talks about when they're talking about why e-collars are not a great training tool. I learned a lot, and I think this is what led me to saying, okay, I'm gonna take a 2-week break from using the e-collar and see if I notice any differences in Harvey. In those 2 weeks, I also took a lot of time to learn about positive reinforcement dog training and started using what I was learning on our walks and in training. And I know this sounds so glorified, like a glorified social media video, but I'm not even kidding you. In the 2 weeks, I noticed such an insane difference in Harvey. Not only was he being better around squirrels than he ever had on the e-collar, on top of that, he was much more attentive to me on walks and was happily responding to all his cues. I want to keep in mind that I was using both positive reinforcement and the e-collar when I was using it, but taking the e-collar out, I think just made such a big difference. His recall improved tremendously, and he overall was so much less stressed on walks. Another thing I learned more about during this time was dog body language, and I started to see such a difference between how his body language was on walks with the e-collar on versus when he wasn't wearing the